Listen live now and on demand at omniaudio.africa.
Well, game on with AGT Foods, natural superfoods. Our beans and pulses provide the fuel you need to keep moving. Power your passion with every bite. Brought to you by AGT Foods Africa. Good food, good health, good life. So if it is that you are on the Royal AM train going, we don't know to where because everything hangs in the balance. We're about to kind of build on that story with Mthokozisi Dube. He is the editor out at the Far Post. Mtho, good to have you. What has the weekend brought about in terms of Royal AM and where do we stand? Is the team being sold? Will games go ahead? Unpack for us.
Good morning, Romy, and good morning to the listeners. The Royal AM saga continues. They were still unable to fulfill their Nedbank Cup fixture over the weekend. That's a few days after the cancellation of their game against Orlando Pirates. So it doesn't look like any of that will change any soon. But what we're gathering is that there is an intention to sell, and there is interest from a certain consortium to buy the club and take it back to Bloemfontein. You'll remember that they purchased the status of Bloemfontein Celtic to get into the Betway Premiership. Then move the team to Durban. So we could see a scenario where the club is sold and taken back to Bloemfontein. But obviously those talks are ongoing. Look, from what we've gathered in the past, a status in the Betway Premiership would go for between 40 to 60 million rands. And I'm just looking. It's been well documented that Mthokozisi, the owner of Royal AM, owes the taxman about 40 million rands. We do know that he still owes Semi Nukovic.
Right.
I think it has risen to about 17 million at the moment, and there's also Nascimento as well, the Brazilian defender, which could, I think it's in the region of 2 million rand. So if she were to sell the status for 60 million rand, I'm sure she would be able to at least clear those, because no one would buy a club that cannot sign new players.
Yeah.
It would be difficult for any new buyer to get the club, and they still have a FIFA ban hanging over their heads. So
I'm sure that would be one of the sale conditions, though. But if that happens, where do we stand? Is it like an automatic takeover very quickly, and Celtic then become the Royal AM that will then have to honor fixtures, play catch up? Is it that easy, like lock and key? Sale, pay your debt, and off we go.
Look, I think in the past, what we've seen is a club that someone who buys a club they would maintain the name until the end of the season. So they won't immediately change to, let's say, if they want to rename it Celtic, and then they would be able to rename it at the end of the season. The league is midway through. We're approaching the halfway mark of the season, and that. I don't think you'd have a scenario where in the middle of the season the team name changes to a different name, So they would possibly maintain the name until the end of the season. But obviously, moving base, I think it's not really an issue. They could actually move back to Bloemfontein, which I think Bloemfontein people would be waiting for that kind of move.
For sure.
They've been yearning for football. Yes, there is Marumo Gallants, but you know how much they loved that beautiful brand, Bloemfontein.
So basically, there is nothing new, Mtho, on Royal AM. It's kind of the bus is parked, and other than just the talks of a possible sale, there is absolutely nothing new. Do you know if players have been paid or will be paid by the end of Jan, their Jan salaries?
Look, they were paid for December at the start of Jan. So there would be an expectation that they will be paid again, from the grant that the club receives from the PSL. So we'll monitor that and see over the next couple of days.
All right, so that one is a bit stagnant. If we could move over to Safa House and also just talk about the NEC meetings. I mean, between Kevin and I, we do kind of feel that there has been different reports coming out, both from the mother body itself and journalists and the different media houses.
It's quite an interesting one. I mean, obviously, because we were not allowed as journalists to be a part of that NEC meeting. And there was not a proper address, just to unpack the issues. I think what we've seen is just, journalists speaking to different NEC members, some anonymously, but also the statements that SAFA has released in over the weekend, which really say nothing, But I think the most important thing, which is what we probably were all anticipating. I mean, with the court case ongoing, which involves the SAFA president, Dr. Danny Jordan, one would have hoped they would address the issue of whether he stays in office while this case is ongoing or not. But it does seem like it's an issue that was brushed aside. Yes, it was brought up, but the issue was brushed aside, which obviously indicates that he will continue in office. Nothing is going to change. But you can tell that he still has a lot of backing within the NEC. Of course, there's those that are saying he should step down. But obviously their voices overpowered by those that are backing him. And we do know that he's in Morocco at the moment for the AFCON draw. So it's business as usual.
It's bizarre. I mean, does Danny Jordan rule by fear? Why has he got this almost overwhelming influence on a lot of the NEC members? What is the cause of that, or what is the result of that?
Look, I think he's been in office for a long time, and obviously, being able to strengthen, his influence on a lot of NEC members, and one gets the sense that it's people that would benefit in the long term should he, remain in office. So they would do everything just to make sure that he stays in office.
I mean, it is an ongoing story. Obviously, he goes back to court beginning of Feb, another NEC meeting at the end of Feb. On the continent, though, Mtho, where you obviously have cast your net as well as Far Post, transfer window coming to a close. What is happening? Anything new that you can share with us?
Look, quite a lot likely to happen in this week. I think probably the biggest story over the weekend was obviously the Thembinkosi Lorch to Kaizer Chiefs. I mean, we do know that Lorch was signed by Coach Rulani in January last year, but there was a bit of resistance from the sporting director of Sundowns, Fleming Berg. With Rulani gone now, Lorch has seen minimal game time at Sundowns. I think he's only made a few substitute appearances this season, less than 5 actually. And there is intention to move him. He's one of 5 players that Sundowns have basically said they're happy to move.
Who?
However, the challenge
is Rushin Deriak on that list?
Rushin has already gone. He's not on the list. He's already gone to Israel. So his is sorted.
It's done. Signed, sealed, delivered.
Yes.
Who else is on that list? So who are the 5?
Yeah. So there's Lebo Hang Mabo. He's not seen a lot of action. There's Lesibanku. He was on the verge of joining Stellenbosch, but they couldn't agree personal terms, so he ended up staying at Sundowns. There's Zuko Mtunyela, who was signed in January last year from Chippa United. He's also part of that list. And then there's Riyad Peters, the goalkeeper. I was actually looking at his statistics since joining Sundowns 7 years ago. He's only made 20 appearances. So I mean, Ronwen Williams has been exceptional. So he's also one of the players that they are looking to move to offload. And Lorch is the 5th.
Wow.
And Apollos, will he move at all from Polokwane City?
Look, Apollos, it doesn't look like he's going to move. Polokwane City have made it clear they want to hold on to him because they want to at least finish in top 3 and play cup football next season. They want to retain their best players. So they've basically not responded to any inquiries regarding Oswin.
No, but anyway, we will be catching up with you again, Mtho. Thank you so much for the inside info. A little slow this weekend, however, but Mtho does have his eyes on African football and what is happening. Keeping a policy, in my opinion, you want to keep your strong players, yes, because you have an end goal. Are you going to get out of your players what it is that you want when they might not? I'm not saying they don't want to be there. I'm sure they're happy to play football. My opinion, don't shoot me. Are you going to get out of a policy what it is that you need and want, right? Or are you going to get a deflated player who really wants to go, more than anything else? But then again, you got to perform in order to keep interest in you. And so I think it's such a delicate balance, you know. The mind of a footballer is a delicate thing, I think, overall.
It is. I mean, it's almost like, but then you look at someone like Mo Salah. So Mo Salah's contract's up, and every second question about Mo is not about the goals he scores, it's about his contract. And if you're Liverpool, you're going, right, what's our investment in him? So it's a business thing, the same with Apollos. So if we keep him on and then we sell him at the end of the season, I don't know how long his contract is, what is our return in terms of getting into CAF, the return for the club?
Actually, who's Apollos' agent?
That's a good question.
I will be on the phone today.
Good fee.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I mean, that's exactly it.
And Rashford, when? I mean, transfer ends, what, 3rd of Feb or something?
Yeah. But he's still, I mean, he's just hanging on. I mean, it's becoming embarrassing. So if you're Marcus Rashford and you're not turning up at training, what are you doing? You're trying to force
But apparently they're saying that there's no beef or there's no bad blood. But if you aren't at training, surely you're sending a message of some sort out, aren't you?
He's there, but he isn't there. So it's not like, you know, it's like him do most mornings.
Like
he arrives here and
Rashford?
he's not here, you know.
He's ever present, omnipresent. I'm going to hang on because I want to actually find out what is happening with Kev's Bedway Bets and how much money you've...
Listen live and on demand.
Welcome to Omni Sport.